All right, folks, I am back with Dr. Artis. It's been a little bit that I haven't had him on the show in quite a while. I think it's almost been maybe a little over a year, Doc. Man, good to see you again. I like the backdrop. It looks great. How you doing, bro?
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I had to build a studio here in my house when, for some reason, the studio I'd been using all during the pandemic all of a sudden lost all of its funding. And then they had to close their doors and file bankruptcy. And then I had to move the studio into my house.
That's
Uh,
even better. My studio's
Even
in my
better.
house. Yeah, I think it's even better. I just go from the bedroom to my studio. Man, Doc, so a lot of what you said in 2020 was so controversial, right? But I was on board with it. I knew I considered myself awake probably around 2004, 2005 when I looked into 9/11. I kind of knew that it was obviously an inside job. A lot of things that transpired after
What? That's
9/11.
new to me. I've never heard that. No, I'm just kidding.
So, okay, cool. So then fast forward, so I was awake during all those years and I knew something was coming. And I remember an episode of Jesse Ventura, a conspiracy theory or whatever the series was, where he was talking to a woman, talking about where she met him in private at like an airport hangar, and she just stopped to meet with him and said they're gonna be pushing out these vaccines. It's coming. They're gonna have a man-made virus. They're gonna put the world in lockdown. All of this is coming, and I knew. And I talked to Jesse Ventura in the airport by chance. I just ran right into the guy after that episode, and I talked to him about it, and he was kind of freaked out, and he lived in Baja, Mexico. He's like, "It's coming, it's coming." He had this wild-eyed look, and sure as shit, it came. 2020, boom, it came, and I was ready for it. And I was like, "This is not." And I first got word from Steve Bannon. There's a virus coming, like a tidal wave from China. It's coming from Wuhan and all this stuff, and go get masks, go get gloves. And I'm like, wait, is this even? My first question to me was, is this even real? I mean, can we even believe this? Because I knew at the same time, and I don't know how big of a conspiracy theorist you are. I knew at the same time they were rolling out the 5G towers, the whole thing. Nothing made sense to me. And then you came onto the scene and started saying it's snake venom in the water, correct?
I did.
Are you still on board with that? Do you still back that 100%? Are you 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Or are you still on board with that all the way?
Oh yeah, 100%. Until somebody
Yeah.
comes and proves us wrong, there's no way I'm jumping off of this one. So yes, I'm absolutely convinced this is how they targeted all of us. And when you think about it, what is it that human beings rely on for survival every single day? There's only three things:
Food,
air,
water, and
water,
air.
and food.
Yeah.
Air, water, food. You have to have these to survive one day after the other, or you don't survive, you die. Well, of those three things, air, water, and food, what does every human being basically in industrialized nations around the world rely on their governments for to be delivered into your private spaces of your life?
Water. There you go.
It's only water. And the thing that got Stu Peters' attention when I went to his home and we filmed the interview a couple weeks later, I actually flew there for security reasons because I knew I was going to come out with this. And I'd already heard that Bing Liu, this was the issue. Bing Liu was a researcher at the University of Pittsburgh. I discovered that he was murdered in May of 2020. And this is a COVID-19 paid researcher at the University of Pittsburgh. So he's getting blood samples from all these people in New York City, if you remember being the epicenter of COVID in America. He's getting all these blood samples and he's being told his job is to find out what's the origin of COVID that creates some mild cases in some people, and why would others have more severe outcomes and die? Why are all these people ending up dead in tractor trailers in New York City? Well, he ran all the blood work. His research team at the University of Pitt actually came out with a white paper, and I don't know if you know what a white paper is. He publishes a white paper that goes around the department, around the school, to let people know this is what we're about to publish, and what their findings were. Then they announced they're going to do a press release because our government was paying them for this research. So now
Right.
they're going to do a press release, and all you got to do is look it up. What happened to Bing Liu the night before the press conference to tell the world what was COVID? He ends up with 7 bullets to his chest, 3 to his head, in his own recliner in his living room. And another colleague of his is a mile down the road with a bullet in his head and a gun in his hand. And they twisted it immediately as some lovers triangle quarrel, a murder suicide combo. No, that's not. That is tall tale CIA. We got to silence these people. They killed this guy. And what I wanted to know is what was on that white paper? On the white paper, Bing Liu, the Chinese American researcher employed at University of Pitt, writes that the only difference between mild cases of COVID and severe cases of COVID is that the moderate to severe cases have loads of snake venom in their bloodstream, and the mild cases don't have any.
Wow.
And that was in May of 2020, and he gets murdered. Okay. All right. That was an absolute something that could not get out to the public. If you let everybody aware that there is snake venom in people's bodies, somehow, no matter how it's getting in there, every medical doctor on earth and every hospital on earth would have known how to treat those people with antivenom. Well, guess what antivenom is?
It's snake venom. That's what it gets the antibodies resistant to the snake venom, correct?
Exactly right. You said antibodies. So they use snake venom to make antibodies against snake venom. And how do they make this? They actually inject snake venom right into horses or cows, and then they let the venom circulate throughout the animal's body, and the body starts making antibodies against all the venom. And then they take that blood out of there and try to siphon out just the antibodies to inject in humans, and that is called antivenom. In every ER, hospital, clinic in the world, that's what antivenom is. It's antibodies against snake bites or snake venom. So I want to ask you, do you know this? Do you know what type of drugs are anti-venom all around the world that's been used since the 1800s?
No.
Do you know what it's called?
What?
Monoclonal antibodies. Do you want to know what the FDA banned in America from being used against COVID-19 patients because it was 100% effective?
Well, I know it was ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine.
Yep. So monoclonal antibodies was the first thing they banned. They said nobody can use these because it had a 100% success rate. So they banned it first, and monoclonal antibodies is what antivenom is. So you can use monoclonal antibodies for other stuff, but that is what it is most well known for worldwide, is addressing snake venom. Envenomation is what it's called in the human body. So they banned that, only to realize. Then I went and looked it up. I wanted to know, why would they target hydroxychloroquine so hard? Why all the controversy and conspiracy around a parasite drug in this respiratory virus? All I had to do is go look it up. All I did is immediately when I read Bing Liu's white paper, I went and looked it up. I wanted to know what.
And anybody could have done this research. Anybody could have done this, but
anybody could have done this. Yeah. So all I did was type in what on PubMed.gov, which is your published medical literature. I went online and I wanted to know snake venom, and I put the plus symbol in PubMed.gov, snake venom plus hydroxychloroquine. And imagine my shock when hundreds of research articles pop up that they've known hydroxychloroquine neutralizes snake venom in the human body since the 1970s.
Oh my gosh.
And then these researchers in France are like, hold up, people in China, where they say the Wuhan virus started, all the doctors in Wuhan in January of 2020, January of 2020, when we first start hearing about COVID whispers out of China. In January of 2020, Wuhan hospitals, the Chinese government comes in and wants those doctors to find out what is making these people sick. Because China don't want the bad publicity. What is making these people sick? And the doctors took their blood samples, sent it off for analysis. In January of 2020, the Chinese medical journals published what was causing all COVID symptoms for the 19 people that were sick in hospitals in Wuhan in the fall of 2019. They published in January, first month of the pandemic we've ever heard of. They published that the origin source of this pneumonia was not from a bat virus. It was from two snakes' venoms called the crate snake and the cobra. They said there's two venoms circulating in these people's bodies, and their bodies attacking it, and they're having symptoms of pneumonia. So they published their findings and did DNA analysis on the antibodies, the bodies of the humans. They want to know, what are they fighting in their body that's making them sick? Their antibodies were actually fighting king cobra venom and crate venom called bungarotoxin. Wow. So then April 2020 comes along. I'm talking about Bing Liu got murdered at the very beginning of this in May of 2020. Imagine in January of 2020, Chinese researchers published the origin of COVID is two snakes. In fact, you can pull it up right now, CNN News, January 2020, two snakes are the origin of COVID. They have the whole article on it. So you can show it. Snake. It actually is titled "Snakes Could Be the Source of the Wuhan Coronavirus."
And
Yeah,
that's
I
on
know.
Google.
It's on Google. Yeah, type it in.
Snakes
Type
can
in
be
CNN.
source.
January 2020. January 2020. Make sure everybody sees CNN was publishing this the first month of the pandemic. But anyway, they published that it was two snakes' venoms, and they talk about it in there, that they did DNA analysis and figured out it was crate snake venom and cobra venom, that these bodies were fighting and they were sick from. And all of the symptoms of king cobra venom and crate snake venom
I
mimic
put
a
two snakes
respiratory
could be
virus.
source of COVID.
Yes.
CNN.
CNN. 2020. January.
Oh
So
my gosh. Hold on. Let me show this. Just hold on a second. This is wild, bro. This is just, and it's right there in your face.
it's right in your face. I mean, there's tons of articles. If you look up 2020 in the news on Google anywhere, snakes and COVID, you're going to see a million articles.
Here it is. Snakes could be the source of the Wuhan coronavirus outbreak.
Yeah, and highlight the date, January 2020. It's right above the picture.
January 24th, 2020. Wow, man.
So if you want to know why it is they had to bombard us with propaganda and repeat these words together 5 billion times in the last 4 years, bat virus,
The Chinese crate and Chinese cobra. Here you go.
The Chinese crate and the Chinese cobra may be the original source of the newly discovered coronavirus. And this is what triggered French researchers in April of 2020 to do their own analysis. They knew the spike proteins by this point, these things called spike proteins on the outside of this new virus, supposedly out of China, was making people sick, and they're calling it COVID. They actually were able to source just these little spike proteins, and they ran DNA analysis on them in April of 2020, then published it the same month in medical journals. They published the spike proteins, which there are two of on every coronavirus, they said, called COVID. They said each of these spike proteins are identical to only two things: bungaro toxin from the crate snake and cobra toxin from the king cobra. And that's what they're identical to. And then they said in that paper, man, they said, what this explains now is why in the first 4 months of COVID, worldwide, scientists and medical doctors are saying there seems to be an anomaly. They actually call it a paradox in medical journals. How come a respiratory virus that's so deadly to so many in the first 4 months of COVID, how come this respiratory virus, respiratory meaning lungs, how come smokers are immune to COVID?
Nicotine.
Nicotine. And they published that.
Does it block the receptor sites or something along those lines?
Exactly right. So those venom proteins from the cobra and the crate snake
So it paid to be a smoker.
Exactly right. Okay. So when January 2020 comes and CNN and China are all publishing that the origin source of COVID is snakes, 4 months later, France says it's snakes. The spike proteins are identical to two snake venoms, the same ones Chinese docs found, and scientists. Then in May of 2020, they murder Bing Liu, who creates a white paper at the University of Pittsburgh he's about to go live with on CNN and Fox News. Nope, they kill him the night before. We're not letting this out. And then they flood the media with bat virus fact checking.
Yep.
Of these snake
I remember that clearly.
Yep.
But here's my main question. The big question is, and I was going to get to nicotine. You just answered it. But one of the biggest questions for me was, did they flood our water systems with this stuff? Is that how they managed to do this? So like, what our tap water? Is that how you think they did it? And
in fact, their favorite weapon was the water. So you can release venoms in the air, but you can't control that as well as you can water delivery.
So hold on, that makes me jump to like the Q post, and I'm not trying to be a Q-tard or anything like that, but they said watch the water. Yeah, this makes sense to me now completely.
Yep. It actually, I didn't even know about the Q thing or this watch the water reference from the Q thing until after Stu Peters' documentary came out. I didn't call it watch the water. Stu Peters was aware of the Q thing.
But it makes sense now, right? I mean, watch the water.
It makes total sense. Yes. 100%.
So then how did they, because I was thinking to myself when all of this was happening in 2020, I was like, how are they manufacturing? Because I was just so on the other side of this already. I was like, how are they manufacturing these deaths? How are the hospitals? What are they doing to kill these people? And I kept thinking about it. And then and I knew they had to be following some kind of protocol because I knew the hospitals just basically turned into kill factories. And they were putting them on a ventilator and then remdesivir, shutting down their organs, and they would die. And then the hospitals would get paid for that, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Now,
With
what
a
do you think?
20% bonus
Yeah. So do
for
you
the whole
agree with
bill.
me in the sense that these doctors that went along with this and didn't question it, didn't use their own spiritual awareness or intellect, they're guilty?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're absolutely guilty and should be held responsible for their
I,
actions. Yep. Ignorance is not always bliss, people. Do not just do things ignorantly and follow other people's orders. No, no. You know better than that. When you start a treatment protocol on a patient and you see that they are getting worse in every area day by day, you stop the treatment. And this is exactly what happened with remdesivir. And when they put them on remdesivir, which I coined the phrase run death is near, do not take that drug because 9 days of poisoning with that drug equals 100% death in the people who get the 9 days. They had two options. You have a 5-day treatment period and another 5 days. You cannot do that second one because the 9th day is when everybody died. And so that's
wow.
what I was trying to educate everybody on. And that's what they approved. Anthony Fauci said, I approve a 10-day treatment period of remdesivir for all COVID-19 patients.
So let's get to obviously they killed, I would say in America, hundreds and thousands of people that way, correct?
Yes.
Now here comes the rollout of the vaccine, which is obviously they use problem reaction solution, the equation, the Hegelian, I think dialect. I forgot what I think that's what it's called, but it's problem reaction solution. They always had the solution, which is the vaccine, which they wanted everyone to get. Now everyone that got the vaccine are getting myocarditis, or whatever it's called, blood clots,
Myocarditis.
strokes, um, my dad is having seizures. Okay, he's never had a seizure in his life. My mother has blood clots and she has dementia. It's almost like it was a rapid, whatever you had, whatever ailments you had or were predisposed to, it was like a blowtorch was put on them, in my opinion. Am I right in saying that?
Yes. In fact, I don't know if you know this. You're asking me how they could have pulled this all off. You were questioning everything based on your conversations prior, before COVID ever was launched, right? These
Right.
discussions with Jesse Ventura and others. So, in everything that we're going to discuss here on this platform, I just want you to know I just actually completed a book after 8 months that actually summarizes all of this. So, number one, before we go further into the interview, a lot of people are going to sit here going, but you didn't explain the water delivery. Like, how did you
Yes. Okay. So let's get back to that. My bad.
and I really don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on that because there's a whole chapter on it, but I want you to know it's in the book. The books are actually ready for sale now. It's #1 on Amazon and health category, which is exciting. Just got released 2 weeks ago. So go get a copy there, the Dr. Artist Show, or at Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It's at all those. It's called Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies. In that book, I outline, but I want to explain to you how they did this. In 2017 and 2019, our government started funding researchers all over the United States to test water treatment facilities' chemicals, like how they treat your water before it comes into your tap. They said, please test at every water treatment facility in America what happens to DNA plasmids when we pour it in the water. Now, the water is now going to be treated that has these things called DNA plasmids thrown into the water. They want to know if we put this in water, what happens to the plasmids after you chlorinate it, let UV light touch it, or use hydrogen peroxide to clean the water, which are the normal treatments for water in your water facilities around your city that supply your water municipalities. They asked these scientists and paid them millions of dollars to go check if we put our plasmids in the people's water, what happens when sunlight hits the water, what happens when chlorine's added to the water, and what happens when hydrogen peroxide's added. And they figured out and published that in all 3 scenarios, the DNA plasmids persisted and never were degraded
Wow.
by any of those 3 things. Now, this is important because the DNA plasmids are what the NIH publishes right now as the only thing in the mRNA COVID-19 shots. Now, the DNA plasmid shots, let me just ask you, do you know what the shots? Okay, the NIH has published this. We only put DNA plasmids, these little circular pieces of DNA, inside of the COVID-19 mRNA shots. And they tell you that when you get this shot, what is going to be made in your body?
Well, I would hope. I don't know what. Tell me.
They say your body's going to make spike
Oh,
proteins.
spike proteins. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Spike proteins. But I thought they didn't. I didn't know they said that.
Oh yeah, they said this is a new technology called mRNA technology.
But I
We
thought
can
the mRNA was the delivery system.
no, that's what
So
they
they
actually
came out
call
and
it.
said spike proteins out in the, how come nobody I never had
Oh
one person come on and say this.
yeah, in May of 2023, the NIH came out and published that the spike proteins of COVID were identical to three things: the spike proteins on HIV, the spike proteins on rabies, and the spike proteins are identical to snake venom neurotoxins.
Okay, so hold on. So
Snake venom.
when people say that this is called VAIDS, vaccine AIDS,
Very good. I like hosts that can listen to the conversation instead of worried about next questions. Yes, you can have an open dialogue. You have common sense and you're putting it together. They are actually injecting you with what they want your body to produce. So when you hear the term vaccine AIDS, they are injecting you with technology to tell your body to manufacture these toxins, poisons, infections they call rabies, HIV, they call an infection. And then the other third thing they said it's identical to is snake venom neurotoxin. So I want to ask you this. When they say we're going to inject you with DNA plasmids, your body's going to make spike proteins, then your body's going to produce antibodies against those snake venom neurotoxin proteins or HIV proteins or rabies proteins. Now your body can fight rabies, HIV, snake venom, but you don't have any of that stuff. So your
you have to
body's going to
have it
become,
first. They're giving it to you.
they are giving it to you. So when they say we are studying in 2017 and 19, what happens when we put DNA plasmids in the water? These DNA plasmids are used to manufacture snake venom proteins, HIV, and rabies.
So hold
And
on. Are
as
you saying that maybe by all of us, I don't drink the tap water, but maybe I've taken a gulp here or there. Do I have AIDS now?
nope. No,
I
this is
mean,
the brilliance. Oh, this is what I want to explain. Okay. This
okay.
is what I don't want people to not know. This is probably going to be the first time you ever heard it. We have done presentations for this topic for a year and a half now, but in the book, I outline it for you. Okay. When I say there's venom in the water, everybody thought I was saying you're milking snakes and just dumping their little bit of venom
Right.
into
That's
the
what your
water.
mind goes to immediately.
And all of the world's like, oh my God, there's no way they're milking snakes and making the whole world sick. No, there's not that much real venom. However, when I say to you that they are putting snake venom in the water, what you don't know and what you didn't know was something I had already learned over the last 5 months before I did that interview, that there are factories all over the world that are creating tons of synthetic, just as toxic as the real stuff, snake venom, snail venom, scorpion venom, all kinds of venoms. And they use them for three primary industries. And there are tractor trailer loads right now of huge barrels of venom going all over the world to be turned into drugs, vaccines, cosmetics, and insecticides.
So let me say this: no vaccine is safe now.
No, everybody should question every single vaccine. I don't know if you saw it, but there's that research facility out of Portugal, just published last Friday. Stu Peters had me on his show on Monday about it. They published that they took dental anesthetics, they numb you with.
Yeah.
They took those dental anesthetics, 30 days, dried out the solution, air dried it, to see what was left behind, put it under the microscope, and all they see is tons of nanotech. Just little bitty circuitries laying out there. And then they took, this is a 3-minute little Twitter post that has millions of views now. They took tobacco leaf and steeped it, took the water with the nicotine in it, and then they dropped it on the nanotech under the microscope. And they were able to prove that nicotine dissolves all the nanotech. And in this little 3-minute clip, there's only 2 names mentioned. Rafa Calvin, who's the scientist who did the study to prove nicotine was the antidote to the nanotech, and says, we did this research because of Dr. Brian Ardis's great work for the last 3 years. When he said nicotine was the antidote to all things COVID, he was right.
And notice Biden, everyone was going all in after the cigarette companies and nicotine pouches.
Yes. Did you hear? I appreciate you lighting up. Have you seen what the new Kamala Harris selected VP just said last week? It's going to be one of their first actions they take as an administration when they get elected.
What's that?
In America.
Stop cigarettes. Stop the dangers of smoking.
Something. Yeah, this is the new named VP. if they get elected. He
Right.
said, this is what he said, I'm going to introduce a 98% nicotine agent tax and tobacco tax. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay, great.
wow. How
Well,
convenient.
yeah. And what did Australia do the week before? Did you hear this? So 2 weeks ago, Australia now has made every nicotine agent, nicotine gum, nicotine suckets, nicotine patches, all now have to be purchased only with a prescription. You're not allowed to buy it over the counter. You have to have a medical doctor's prescription. They're all now prescription drugs.
So this is proof. This is, and people that are just watching this right now, this is proof this is a depopulation agenda, 100%.
1,000,000%. It is a depopulation agenda and infertility agenda. And that's what I write about all in the book, is how they're using these venoms to create infertility, how to create miscarriages. And they know that they can use DNA plasmids that are infused with little genetic code that tell a bacteria or yeast cell that lives in your body to manufacture venom or poison, you name it.
Here's where my mind goes with this. When you said nanotechnology is in the vaccines, which I've known, I just intuitively I knew. Do you think this is linked to the 5G towers at all?
1,000% it is.
So I have a friend.
That. Let's talk about that for a second. Okay. So there's a guy named Dr. Ed Group who is a part of our team of docs that teaches a conference called Healing for the Ages. The next one's coming up in 2 weeks, actually. Anybody who wants to sign up, go to healingfortheages.com and learn. Dr. Ed Group was one of 26 individuals asked by Donald Trump to be one of the first COVID task force docs. Comes out to Washington, D.C., starts laying out their plans for how it is they'd like to help Americans. And at the meeting, he witnesses something being signed by the president. He's signing 2 documents at the same time they're there. Operation Warp Speed and another operation called Operation Telecommunications. And all of these doctors could not make sense of why it's so urgent to put up 5G towers in the first year of the pandemic while everybody's on lockdown.
Dude, I knew this from the beginning. I was like, this is what's happening. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So there is a direct connection to 5G towers having to go up during the beginning of the pandemic. And this is what we have discovered in the last year, man. You're going to freak out. The 5G radiation absolutely ties to the nanotech they are spreading through the air, through chemtrails, through our food. I mean, they're now mRNA injecting our food. Like they're vaccinating tomatoes,
how do we get away from this?
Lettuce, beef. They're getting it into you any way they can. They're putting it in your water. You're inhaling it. They're putting it in your vaccines. They're getting it inside of you. The only way to make you a part of what they call the Internet of Things. They want to track you, control your biometrics. They make it sound like it's good for you. They actually say, we'll put nanotech inside of you and we can watch your blood pressure go up, your cholesterol go up, and then we can release drugs with the nanotech directly in your body to lower cholesterol, lower high blood pressure. You don't even have to worry about getting a prescription. Okay.
So the only way to fight this is to smoke.
Yeah, that's right. This is the smoke and mirrors,
smoking,
man.
Folks.
That's right. So anyway, it's just really ridiculous. So
I mean, am I right on board when I say that? Like nicotine is the one thing that stops this?
Oh, within 4 weeks of our Watch the Water documentary, I told Stu Peters' team, make sure you put nicotine as the #1 antidote. The French researchers figured it out in April of 2020. Within 1 week, every government around the world started smear campaigns on tobacco smoking and cigarette use during the pandemic. Look at everything they still say to this day. Look at the Paxlovid, Pfizer drug for COVID. Every single commercial you'll see in every single sporting event is smokers are at highest risk for getting COVID. They have to continue lying to you. Do you know that in 2020, in Wisconsin, there's a hospital at the University of Wisconsin. They had a whole floor that had like 16 different smokers in it, current smokers, but they were getting worse and worse on their remdesivir protocol. And what about hospitalization? You can't smoke. So current smokers are in an ICU. They're not allowed to smoke in there. So each day they're getting worse. Do you know what the medical doctors decided to do in June of 2020? They said, hey, man, I saw these research studies about nicotine being the cure out of France. These people can't get nicotine while they're in here. They're not smoking. So they took nicotine patches. I am not joking. They took 7 milligram nicotine patches and started putting them all over their body. 100% of them went home in 5 days.
What?
5 days. Now, what's amazing about that is How come medical doctors who discovered this and were clinically using it and proving it to be miraculous, how come more medical doctors weren't speaking out about nicotine being protective, and why were they all chirping to get a vaccine? When nicotine was the preventative agent,
Money.
why would you ever push something when you know there's something
Dude,
over
they're
the?
making money.
It's all about money. It's all about greed. It's all about power. And it's all about an endpoint for the agenda. What's the endpoint? Depopulate the planet. And I have to say,
And then
you know,
get the rest of
you
the people
kind of,
very sick to where they go to the pharmaceutical companies. It's a vicious cycle, correct?
nothing is more of an investment and a return on investment than vaccinating a baby and making them sick for the rest of their life, that they can sell you drugs for every condition they know they can create by injecting poisons into your child from a very young age. You are their number one revenue source. Every newborn, hey, as soon as it comes out, you have to inject it with the hepatitis B vaccine, give it a vitamin K shot right away. I mean,
The
you're starting.
vitamin K, a lot of people say, well, I don't take vaccines, but I take the vitamin K. The vitamin K is just as dangerous, correct?
Don't do it. This is dumb. No, stop it. And I cannot stand hearing parents say, my child has been like this, no matter what the condition is, neurological, asthma, allergies, ear infections, chronically, it doesn't matter. They'll go like this. But Dr. Artis, my child's been like this since birth. And this is exactly what I say. Really, how do you know? Did you vaccinate your kid? Yes. Then how do you know what he was normal? You have no
Yeah.
idea what normal was like because you literally injected him with poison, him or her, within 12 hours of being born. You have no idea what normal is. You took the baby home a few hours later, so you think this is how he was.
You
Since
have no point of
you
reference.
have
You don't
no
know.
idea what normal looks like. The only way you would know what normal is to not vaccinate him for like 5 years and then give him some injections and see what happens. That's
That's the
the
only way.
only way you would know what normal was.
I have a friend, and we call him Normie Jake, and we told him, hey man, don't take the. I think he took the COVID vaccine. I think he did. He just told us, no, I never took it. I never took it. But then I find out from his girlfriend he went and took the shingles vaccine. I just these people to me, it's like we sound like we're quacks, right? You sound like you're crazy, and what
We
you're
do.
doing is waking up society. You're waking up the public, but they really need to get on board with this conspiracy of They can't seem to grasp the depopulation conspiracy. They can't seem to grasp that there are psychopathic fucking pedophiles running the world, and they hate
Amen.
humanity, and they want the
Amen.
world for themselves. That's what they are, right?
Yeah. In fact, this has been a whole new can of worms opened up for me the last 4 years. There was a lot of stuff I just wasn't open to or aware of. But when for example, the FDA was making decisions on dates to meet to vote on vaccinating children, do you know how many of those dates, every time they name a
Land on a
date,
certain day, the certain number.
it was usually on the summer solstice, fall solstice, winter solstice. And
The
these are
occult.
very occult dates. And these occult groups love child sacrifice. And that's what the freaking vaccine agenda is. Do you not know what SIDS is? It stands for Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. Look up the research studies. Every child that dies while sleeping, it's within 48 hours of a recent childhood vaccine. All of them. Now you have what's called SADS since the COVID-19 shots came out. And what does that stand for? Sudden Adult Death Syndrome. So now adults are dying in their sleep. You have to know they are injecting you with poisons that suppress your respiration. And respiration goes down while you're asleep because you're relaxed. But if you have something suppressing it even further, like venom peptides, proteins that suppress respiration, how do you think venomous creatures kill their prey? They make them not able to breathe or run away. That's what the symptoms of respiratory arrest are. That's what venom does. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, binds to nicotine receptors that suppresses the heart's ability to beat and your lungs' ability to draw in air. And then you become hypoxic. All of you bought pulse oximeters to watch your oxygen level go down, just like every rabbit, ferret, fox that's ever been bit by a snake. It's the exact same symptoms. In fact, if you know anybody, which you rattled off a few examples in your own family, individuals who are still struggling with diseases, symptoms, depression, dementia, schizophrenia, psychosis, there's all kinds of stuff going on right now that has never occurred in these people before 2020. If you know someone in your life, anybody who has a symptom they are struggling with brand new since 2020, they never had this issue before, you have circulating venom inside your body, creating every one of your symptoms, and you have no idea. And what you have is E. coli bacteria or yeast in your gut that has been programmed by plasmids in your water and in the vaccines to engineer this bacteria and yeast to manufacture poisons in your body. You have no idea they have weaponized nature in your body to make you sick and die over time. All right. This
Can
is why
I
it's so
give
important
them
you
a nicotine
understand.
patch to combat this or no?
Yes, I wear a nicotine patch every single day for
Are
2.5
they
years
still
now.
selling them at stores or did they take them off the shelves? I don't even know.
Nope, they're in America. They're still available. If you're in
Ooh.
Australia, you got to get a prescription, but here they're
You got to get it.
available.
Okay, but here we can just go get them.
Yes. In fact, there's two brands that we recommend the most. So Rugby is a brand of patches, is the only brand I use. You can find them on Amazon. Rugby's the only patches. I buy 21 milligram patches, the big ones, and then I cut them into 6 equal pieces, which makes them about 3.5 milligrams. And I put one on my ribs every single day. Then I take it off the next day and put on a new one right after that on the other side. And I wear one every single day. What have I learned? I want to rattle off a few things for you. A couple things.
Please.
Did you know that Harvard figured out in 2015 that nicotine's not addictive?
Wouldn't surprise me.
All right. So they published in 2015.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
That they have reviewed 7 million pages of tobacco giant manufacturing research and development papers. And they published since the 1970s that the tobacco giants have known nicotine's not addictive. So they hired chemists to come in and tell them how to make their tobacco products more addictive, especially when they started manufacturing light cigarettes. Nobody wanted any of those.
Right.
So they're like, how do we get people to keep buying these? And they figured out then in those R&D papers that for 50 years now, the tobacco giants have been allowed by the FDA to add 15 man-made chemicals called pyrazines to every tobacco product. And pyrazines is the agent, Harvard says, that makes tobacco products so addictive. It's not nicotine. And in 2016, they wrote in their paper, the FDA should start regulating these pyrazines they're allowing tobacco giants to add to make tobacco products addictive. Now, that's what they did. But I want you to know, did you know that there's vegetables you eat every day, man, and ladies out there that has nicotine in them? Can you name 3 vegetables that has nicotine in it?
No.
And lots of it.
No, I have no idea. What are they?
All right, so yeah, here we go. So if nicotine is, by the way, I'm going to say something. Nicotine is a nutrient. It's not a drug. And after I list out these vegetables, you're going to go, oh my God, how come they haven't ever told us this? All right. Every single person out there who has eaten a French fry or a potato chip or mashed potato or baked potato, you're eating tons of nicotine every time you eat that.
Wow. I love it.
You're eating even more. You're even eating more nicotine if you eat tomatoes or eat ketchup.
Wow.
And if you eat an eggplant, you're eating even way more nicotine than what's in tomatoes. All right, so I want to ask you, how many people do you know are truly addicted to eggplants and tomatoes and are asking their bosses for a tomato break at work or an eggplant break at work because they can't focus anymore because they need more nicotine because they're addicted to eggplant? You're not addicted to eggplant. Did you know cauliflower has nicotine? Did you know celery has nicotine? Did you know bell peppers is loaded with nicotine? Did you know zucchini is loaded with nicotine? Did you know nightshade vegetables have more nicotine plants than tobacco plants? I mean, why hasn't the FDA told you this? And why aren't there warning labels on every fast food chain French fry package they give you? Why does that little carton not say, warning, this potato fry contains nicotine, an addictive substance? Why doesn't your Heinz ketchup say, oh, this is even more addictive than your French fries because it has nicotine in it? And if you get eggplant burgers, how come they're not telling you you're going to be addicted to this veggie burger and you're not going to be able to sleep and you're going to have sweats because of the addictive nicotine in it? Why don't all of these products come with warning labels when we know they have tons of nicotine in them? So nicotine's not addictive. You know that because you're not addicted to any nightshade vegetable.
They just made it addictive with the added chemicals.
It's all right. The added chemicals do it. All right. So vegetables do that. So I have to tell you, let's rattle off a list and shock your audiences. Ready? Because I was shocked. I have a chapter in my book called Just in the Nicotine of Time. Okay. That's because it saved everybody.
I mean, they really fumbled the ball with this. I mean, they didn't really dot their I's and cross their T's with this one. They're like, oh, shit.
Nope.
Nicotine?
Yep. They knew. Yeah, it's unfortunate. So, all right. So nicotine, I have to tell you, there's not only is it in the way of viral pandemics like COVID, it got in the way of the vaccine agenda. Okay. The vaccine agenda was the agenda. And whatever the poisons were in those shots and whatever they were intended to do was the ultimate agenda of the COVID-19 pandemic. So nicotine just got in the way. And smokers figured it out a long time ago, early in the pandemic. Keep smoking, don't stop. And this is why the massive anti-smoking campaign for COVID had to be initiated. And it still goes on today. All right. And there is less people in America. I just got a report yesterday from my son that less people than ever in history are smoking in America right now. I hope that's because they're all on nicotine agents.
Okay, yeah, I hope so too. I'm gonna go get batches right now.
You should. Oh, with the gum, I want to mention that the best gums are Rugby just came out with a brand of gum. They're 2 and 4 milligrams. I do not recommend anything more than the 2 milligrams.
What about something
Pretty
like for
brand.
my mother who's elderly and my father?
Yep. So Lucy brand and Rugby are the 2 brands of gum we only recommend.
But how many milligrams would you recommend for someone like who doesn't smoke anymore, like my mom and dad, that probably could benefit from this? How many milligrams? 6 milligrams?
I recommend anybody starting nicotine. Me personally, I recommend if you're going to do it oral with a suck it with a gum, mint, you're going to cut it down to 1 milligram.
Okay.
First. So cut the gum in half, cut the mint in half, and only do 1 milligram and just suck on that, chew on that, and do that every 3 to 4 hours. Just do a half of a piece of gum. That's 1 milligram.
I can't believe we're endorsing this right now. This is crazy. This is so insane. But what about my parents?
Just so you know, in January of 2023, I was contacted by someone in Washington, D.C., who's a 40-year Navy admiral who'd run secret missions for the government. He called me on an unknown cell phone number like 6 times, and I wouldn't answer it because I was driving, watching my map, going to my stepdaughter's wedding. And he keeps calling. I keep deleting it to get the map up on the screen. I'm in downtown Dallas, all these roads. All of a sudden, when I click it the 6th time to hang up on him, this banner text comes across the top, answer your damn phone. But there's no name. It says unknown. And I was like, what the? He calls again. I answered it. I was like, hello, this is Dr. Artis. This is so-and-so. I'm with the U.S. Navy. I'm a longtime Navy admiral, 40-something years. I do special missions for the United States government. He said, I need to make you aware of something. Go to your text messages. I'm about to send you something. The United States government is discussing today to suppress here in Washington, D.C. This medical journal just got published, and it is circulating in these private meetings in D.C., and they want to bury it. But I need you to tell the world about it. And I was like, okay. I open up the text after the wedding. I get home that evening. Oh my goodness. They took every single long hauler COVID patient they could find in January of 2023 who tried hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, every drug you can think of to help with their symptoms. Then they even tried physical therapy and occupational therapy to restore their ability to walk. They're paralyzed half of their faces, called Bell's palsy and Guillain-Barré syndrome. Myocarditis. It didn't matter what the symptom was. They had to have them for 1.5 years without any relief. And they had to be getting worse, all their symptoms, since having COVID. These scientists brought in the worst cases from around the world who had the most collectively range of symptoms, from loss of taste and smell, dizziness, ringing in the ears, brain fog, new onset of diabetes, myocarditis, new onset of high blood pressure, insomnia. They can't sleep anymore. They walk and they can't breathe. Dyspnea. They can't take a deep breath in anymore. They're very winded. They took all these people and they said, we want to explain to you, we would like to do a 6-day research study. And they said, okay, what are you going to do? We're going to ask you to wear a 7 milligram nicotine patch for 6 days only. And we want to see what happens to all of your long COVID symptoms. And all of these people who were selected to be in the trial, before they told them they were in it, they told them the reason why we're going to do this is because we're going to quote, and they do in the study, the Chinese researchers in January of 2020, the French researchers in April of 2020, and then Carlo Bragna in Italy in October of 2021. He's the one that found 36 different animal venoms in every COVID patient's bodies.
Oh my God.
20 different snake venoms, a starfish's venom, and 15 different snail venoms from the ocean floor. Tell me how that got in every COVID-19 patient's body on land. Okay, they're called conotoxins. So these docs and scientists are referencing all of these snake venom studies. And they say, look, every one of these groups figured out nicotine was the antidote to these venoms. So we would like to see if nicotine would work for you. And they asked them all, have you ever used tobacco products in your life? And none of them had. They said, good, that's the only people we want. So they included those who were what they called tobacco naive, and they gave them these 7 milligram nicotine patches. I have to tell the world what they published. Within 3 days of wearing the smallest size over-the-counter nicotine patch sold in CVS, Walgreens, everywhere in America and all around the world, the smallest nicotine patch, within 3 days, 50% of every symptom they had struggled with for almost 2 years disappeared.
Oh my gosh, dude. I like want to run out the door right now and go get this from my mom and dad.
You should. And
I'm
then
going to. Dude, thank you so much, man.
you're very welcome. And within 6 days, they stopped wearing the nicotine patches, and 100% of all of their symptoms disappeared a few days after stopping the nicotine patches. They just put in enough nicotine in those first 6 days that it continued to heal the body over the next few days after stopping. And 100% of every symptoms was reversed. And I have to say it here for your audiences. Did you know myocarditis during the pandemic, which is damage to the heart muscle, which has a 50% mortality rate in 5 years? That means half of everybody dies after being diagnosed with myocarditis within 5 years. They published during the pandemic, they injected viruses into mammals and they created myocarditis with the Coxsackie virus during the pandemic. And then they decided, after creating and confirming they damaged the mammals' hearts with this virus, they then injected 3 doses of nicotine in a 3-day period. So 1 dose day 1, 2nd day, 3rd day. Then they didn't do anything else. They just did scans on the heart for the next 14 days. Within 14 days of doing 3 days of nicotine, small doses of nicotine, the heart was completely healed. The scar tissue was completely reversed simply with nicotine.
You're kidding me.
And I would like to ask your audience, how many cardiologists have recommended nicotine and knew
None.
that nicotine was proven to reverse myocarditis by itself? So let's, in this interview, I want to tell you what it is published by medical science that your medical doctor does not know because they haven't been told and they have not gone and researched it on their own. Nicotine has been proven in the last 40 years to cure Parkinson's, to cure MS, to cure Alzheimer's, to cure dementia, to cure ulcerative colitis, a bowel disease that ends up with you having to have parts of your gut removed. It cures that. Arthritis, I said it, arthritis that affects 100 million Americans is cured with nicotine. Do you want to know what I find interesting about that?
Dude, I am like ready to go to the store right now. You have no idea, bro. I'm gonna go slam a
so
patch.
excited
Where do
for
I
you.
put the patches? Where do I put them?
So excited. Yeah. So you can put it on most people just put it on their arms. I actually put it on my ribs. Why? Because the skin's thinner on my rib cage. So I just stick it there and let it do its thing.
You get a buzz?
Over a 24-hour period. What's that?
You get a little buzz?
Actually, I see better focus. Visually, I see better. I think better. I process things better. Do you know the word nootropic? That means it's neurologically stimulating. Nicotine is a nootropic.
Oh,
it
dude,
actually improves cognitive function.
I've got my new vice.
Yes.
I quit alcohol now. I'm a nicotine addict.
That's exactly right. So then I mentioned already, nicotine's proven to cure myocarditis. Nicotine has been proven to stop the volatile behavior and antisocial behavior in autistic adults and children.
Oh my gosh. This is massive.
And they put the 7 milligram nicotine patches between their shoulder blades for a week. And then most of these kids wear them for life because they feel better and behave better in society. So it's a miraculous nutrient, and they just have these new agents that provide them, which is great. All right. What about, hold up. Have you heard of turbo cancers in the last 2 years?
Oh, yeah. That's what's happening everywhere. Everyone's getting turbo cancers.
Did you know that during the pandemic, scientists, while we were locked down, were studying king cobra venom injected into mammals and cone snail venoms called conotoxins. into mammals to see how fast they could create a glioblastoma, a brain tumor. And they published they could do it in 72 hours. Those venoms create a brain tumor in less than 72 hours after being injected, which is what's in the COVID-19
And nicotine
mRNA
stops that as
vaccine.
well.
And then what they did was they confirmed and show you the images of the tumor grown in 72 hours. They actually show you 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, and this tumor growing. Right next to it, they show you what happened when they injected a certain dose of nicotine. Glioblastomas can be dissolved by 50% in less than 72 hours with just nicotine, and they tell you the dose that does it. If you just did it for another 72 hours, 100% would be dissolved. But you can look up the study. You can show the study. It's freaking awesome. If you want to pull it up, you want to pull it up?
Sure. Where do I go?
I think you should just show this one. I think this will be mind-blowing. Now, people that look up research studies have to know you have to use certain specific words to even find the study. So can you do screen sharing right now?
I'm going to. I'm going to just put it up on my Google first, and then I'll share it. What do I do?
So I want you to put in Google, I want you to put conotoxin, CONOTOXIN.
Okay.
Next word, cobratoxin, COBRATOXIN, which was the spike protein of COVID.
Okay, and that's it?
And then I want you to write this, capital C, 6.
Okay.
Next word, glial, GLIAL. GLIAL, glial.
Okay.
It's a brain
Glial cell.
Hit enter.
Okay, atoxins and cobratoxin promote while here.
Yes,
I'll show you.
click that and open that research study.
Okay.
Now, if you turn on screen share, I'll show you where to click to open the actual study. And then I want to show a graphic to your audiences that proves nicotine dissolves brain tumors. They show you in the study, the graphic pictures of the tumor dissolving. All right, very good. Now, I want you to, do you see right below where it says marine drugs and that little blue banner in the middle of the screen?
Right here.
Look right below there. You see that DOI number?
Yep.
See the DOI number?
I see a yep.
Hold up.
10. This one right here.
Yep, click that. I
3390.
want you to click it. That takes you to the actual published medical journal. Okay, great. All right, now you are now in the study. I want you to click the allow all here, the website cookie thing. Get that off the screen. Good. Now I want you to scroll down. Keep going. This is what they did. They injected king cobra venom and cone snail venom to create a glioblastoma. Keep going down. I'm going to show you the pictures after 72 hours, what they created. Keep going. All right, there's the graphic. Open it. You see that top corner button?
You want to open it?
Yep, open it. All right, great. All right, so here we go. This is brain cells after adding the king cobra venom on the left and the cone snail venom on the left. So you'll see how many cells there are under the microscope at 24 hours on the left and at 48 hours on the left. And then look at how many cells there are, brain tumor cells, after 72 hours. Okay. Now, if you keep scrolling down, you'll see below what that is.
Holy shit. Nicotine added.
Look what happened to the brain tumor cells after nicotine was added for just 72 hours. Less than half of them remained. It dissolved it.
What? This is huge.
Mic drop. Interview
so
over.
This is the cure for COVID and cancer.
This is why turbo cancers are happening. Venoms that they call spike proteins initiate rapid cancer growth of tissue, all tissue in the human body. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and causes every single brain tumor you can think of, glioblastoma being the most popular. Anyway, nicotine is a natural antidote to these venoms, and they stop these venoms from triggering excessive growth of normal tissue your oncologist is going to call a cancer of any type. If this venom lands in your pancreas, you're going to get pancreatic cancer. If this venom circulates into your liver, you're going to get liver cancer. If it circulates into your lungs, you're going to develop lung cancer. If this actually circulates into your ovaries, cervix, testes, you're going to get ovarian, cervical, or testicular cancer. If it makes its way into your prostate after you injected yourself with the COVID-19 mRNA shot, you are going to develop prostate cancer. This is why you cannot trust the COVID-19 vaccines. They have DNA plasmids that have venom encoded in the genetic material to tell your body to make the venom. And those venoms, one day after another, continue to grow in volume in your body, creating heart issues, neurological issues, and everything you're seeing people complain about right now.
Doc,
100%.
I am just so grateful. I can't even right now. I'm like I'm ready to jump out of my clothes, dude. Like I just want to run to the store right now and just get the nicotine patches. You don't understand what I'm dealing with. This is
And I just want you to know
incredible
that's
information,
exactly what I would do if I was you.
dude. I Let me ask you this, doctor. Are you going on? Are you being suppressed? Obviously, you're being very suppressed. You have to be.
Man, nobody in the anti-COVID world or conspiracy world was more attacked than yours truly in the last 2.5
You're a
years.
brave man. You're a true patriot. You know,
Okay.
I did not know all this information. Is have you been putting this out there in the last 4 years, this information, or just
Yes,
in the
for the
last
last
year?
last 3 years, I've been showing all this stuff to the whole world every single day in interviews, trying to wake up the people.
This
And I think
this
we're
could
waking
be
up.
the most important broadcast I've ever done, and thanks to you. Seriously,
You're very
I
welcome.
commend you. You're a brave man. Um, wow, man, this is breaking. This to me, I didn't. This is information everybody should have. Every human being on this planet should have this information.
Yes. In fact, 4 weeks after I came out with Watch the Water and told everybody that nicotine was the antidote that all these other scientists had figured out, do you know 5 countries in 1 week, 4 weeks after Watch the Water comes out, and millions around the world have seen it, where I talk about venom and nicotine being the antidote for COVID. Within 4 weeks, in the same week, England, Canada, America, New Zealand, and Australia introduced in the middle of the pandemic a brand new national health agenda. That's what they called it. That by the year 2030, they will eradicate all access to commercially available nicotine products.
Oh my gosh. So, but America is still no, they're not doing that. I mean, we're still
So
good for right now.
right now, you've got a VP under Kamala Harris who's been
What's
named, who wants to now 98% tax. That'll be the first step. We're going to overtax it to reduce people's want to buy it. So we have to educate you on how to get it. And we're going to teach you, and we're going to be developing products that provide nicotine, not from tobacco. I can get it from eggplants, tomatoes, potatoes, and we're going to be developing all kinds of products that can source this life-saving nutrient. Oh, I want you to go out of this. This is really powerful. I am so excited about the things I discover because I think it can bring hope to people. Okay, I want you to go back. No, go to the title. Scroll down on this page right here. Just go down a little bit. I want to just focus on the title. So right underneath that DOI number, you see alpha conotoxins and alpha cobra-toxin promote this really excessive growth. So conotoxins, I want to show you something because your whole audience right now is probably like, what in the world is conotoxins? And how can they take, okay, I want you now to look up on the screen, type in madeinchina.com, but put a hyphen between each word, made hyphen
in Google?
Yep, on Google.
So
Or
go back to
actually right
Google.
there. Do it right there in the URL address. Just type it in. You don't even need Google. Made-in China.com.
Oh, should I put one word?
Yeah, it's hyphen in, I-N, made. No, you got to put the word in,
Okay.
dash,
Space or no space?
no spaces, dash, China.com. All right, so I just showed you they use conotoxins to create a glioblastoma tumor. Now, these are products that are made in China. I want you to type in the products up there. I want you to type in conotoxins. This weird venom from a snail in the ocean. Okay, now I want you to keep going down, scroll down. You're going to be able to see all kinds of stuff. Oh, wait. Okay, it says it didn't find anything. Okay, so now I want you to type in cone snail. Cone, C-O-N-E, snail. And hit enter. There you go. Good. All right. Now I want you to start scrolling down because you're going to see injectable cone snail venom powder popping up here as an injectable for anti-aging, oh, you're going to see all kinds of stuff. Oh, so you see right here, cone snail for chicken slaughtering. No, you don't need that. Okay. So I think they're starting to bury this because I showed this all over the place, and that's okay. I want you to go up to type in cone snail peptide. You got it up there. Type in peptide, P-E-P-T-I-D-E. These are what little proteins are. Okay, good. Now, right here, you see the second one? It says high quality, pure conopeptide powder. All right, I want you to click that anywhere on there and open it. Good. All right, this is cone snail venom in a powder form. And I want you to scroll down a little bit. Scroll down just a little. Okay, hold up. No. You know how you can look at the product is in a bowl and they have those little images underneath there so you can see other images of the product. I want you to click the second image underneath the first bigger image up above. Go up a little bit farther.
Right here?
No, up. Go up on the page. Scroll up. Yeah, right there. So I want you to click the second, third, fourth, fifth image there next to that one and open them.
This one?
Nope. Go left. Left. Click that one. They're going to show you the factory. You can show it.
It's not pulling up. I don't know.
Click it.
Yeah, I am. I don't know.
And now go up to the right. You see that little plus zoom button on the right?
Hold on. I know what I can do. Boom. Okay.
You've got to see this.
Oh, then I can just do this. Look. Boom.
There you go. Okay. I want you to go back a few pictures. You have to see this. Look at the factories around the world. Look at this. These are tractor trailer loads. Oh, go back. These are trucks and container ships full of powdered cone snail venom from a snail in the ocean that, by the way, is water soluble, meaning it dissolves in any water you put it in. Just so you know, cone snail venom, they tell you on here what it's used for. It's used to suppress wrinkles on the skin, tone your skin. Cone snail venom causes brain tumors. I just showed you. You put this crap on your skin, it's going to go right into your body, and you are going to develop cancer.
What about Botox?
Cancer. Botox is venom from a bacteria, and it causes cancer. Every venom on Earth is known to cause cancer, and they've known it since 1956. In fact, the American Cancer Society paid 2 people to see if snake venom would cause rapid cancer formation in humans.
Holy
in 1956.
Cow, man.
And in 1986,
and the nicotine will stop this.
Oh, yeah. This nicotine is the antidote I just showed you. It just dissolved the effects of the cone snail venom on brain tumors. That is awesome. All right, I want you to go down a little bit. I want to see if they describe to you where this product would be used. These big bags, kilos of synthetic cone snail venoms. Go down a little bit. Keep going down. So here's your product description. Now look, here's your description. They're going to tell you what it's for. Read the description first. Just read that first paragraph.
The cone snail is a venomous tropical marine mollusk and is said to be one of 500 most venomous creatures in the world. Cone snails can produce polypeptide venom for predation and defense. Each conch venom of the conch family may contain up to 200 pharmacologically active ingredients. The conopeptides used in cosmetics are biologically simulated conotoxins that have been genetically sequenced and artificially biomimetic synthesis preserves biological activity and efficiency while reducing most of the toxicity.
Most of the toxicity. Okay, now I want to show you this. I just want y'all to be aware. They are manufacturing in huge factories all over the world synthetic venoms. Watch this. You like conspiracy? Open the next tab on your internet. Just open up another window.
Just any
Have
window?
you ever heard of does your audience know who the World Economic Forum is?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so we're talking about snails here. What is a part of the agenda conspiracy theorists are aware of that the World Economic Forum
What do you want to put?
I want you to type in World Economic Forum. Killer snails. September 11th. Yeah, September 11th, 2015, and hit enter. Now, the World Economic Forum says there's too many people on the planet. I want you to click the first link.
Oh, wow.
5 years before COVID, when every person had cone snail venoms in their body, making them sick, the World Economic Forum says killer snails can help us improve the state of the world. Okay, I would like to back up on this title first. How would killer snails that kill humans, how would
Depopulation.
they ever improve the state of the world?
Depopulation.
Depopulation. The World Economic Forum is convinced. Look, the fourth industrial revolution. It's the title of this paper. All right. How can killer snails improve the state of the world? Killer snails. This is 2015. I just introduced you to conotoxins. Let's continue the conspiracy theory, and we might be able to wrap up the interview with this. Okay.
Okay.
World Economic Forum says there's too many people on the planet using up too much resources, and those people are subhuman anyway, and we need to be treating them like animals. Okay. And they need to be depopulated. In fact, they're convinced there should only be 1 billion people on the planet by the year 2050. That's the real year everybody's focusing on, not 2030. It's 2050.
Yeah, a lot of people are focused. That's the first I've heard that. Okay, so 2050.
2050.
More realistic.
If you don't know who the Club of Rome is and the Committee of 300, you've got to study who those groups are. All right, let's continue here. So this is the World Economic Forum. These are guys that a lot of people don't like right now and they think other humans are deplorable subspecies. Now, this is in September of 2015. In January of 2020, it's found these same killer snails' venoms are in everybody with COVID. Now, let's go back to 2012. I want you to open up another tab.
Okay.
And I want you to type in Department of Justice, United States. (2012) conotoxins. Potential weapon. And hit enter. And click the first one.
Right here.
This is our United States
Department. Right here or here?
Justice.
Which one?
That one. The second one. Go down. Right there. Yep. All right. And this is just a summary paragraph of what this article is about in 2012. You see date published?
Yep.
2012. In the journal called Bioterrorism and Biodefense. The title reads, Conotoxins, Potential Weapons from the Sea. I want you to scroll down a little bit. This is 8 years before the pandemic. I want you to read, can I read this paragraph to your audience?
Yeah, go for it.
The Department of Justice of the United States, 2012 said, conotoxins are a pharmacologically and chemically diverse group of toxins found in the venom of these cone snails. A number of species of cone snails, such as Conos geographus, are deadly to humans. Conotoxins affect numerous neurotransmitter receptors and ion channels, nicotine receptors, in the body. Look at this. The receptors impacted include nicotinic, adrenergic, your adrenals, NMDA, and serotonin. How many people are depressed right now and dealing with psychosis?
Yep. Absolutely. Everybody.
Now I want to read the next statement because this is COVID-19. The most lethal effect of conotoxins to humans is muscle paralysis of the diaphragm, causing respiratory arrest.
Oh my gosh.
And then down towards the bottom, concerns in the homeland security field exist that certain conotoxins could be weaponized and used as an aerosol. Conotoxins at risk of terrorist use include alpha conotoxins, kappa conotoxins, and one called O-conotoxins. I'd like to ask you, do you know what the O in the Greek alphabet stands for when you read the word O-conotoxin?
No, I don't. Go ahead, tell me.
Everybody on stages, I ask them, do y'all know
I can sit here and guess, but
go ahead and guess. You want to guess?
I don't know, dude. Just
everybody yells out omega. And I go, no, that's not what it stands for. And then I pull up the Greek alphabet on the screen. That O-conotoxin, that stands for Omicron. Conotoxin.
Yep, the Omicron variant.
How many of you have heard about this Omicron variant?
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow. This is
And
so
the
crazy.
Department of Justice told you in 2012, we're worried about a terrorist group releasing conotoxins as a weapon to be aerosolized, even to create respiratory arrest in people. 3 years later, the World Economic Forum saying, hey, the killer snails can help us improve the state of the world. Well, what is their view of an improved state of this world?
Depopulation.
Depopulation. What did conotoxins do? I just read it to you. It causes muscle paralysis, leading to respiratory arrest and death in humans.
Only
Okay,
one
what did you see during COVID?
only one small obstacle, right, doctor?
Only
Nicotine.
one small obstacle. Nicotine continues to get in the way of these venoms causing death. In fact, every Native American who had a horse or a person that got bit by a snake or a scorpion, what did they use to treat the animals? Everybody knows this. Tobacco plants. They took tobacco leaves and wrapped it around the wound, and it would actually neutralize the venom. This is how they kept their animals and their people alive from snake bites. Anyway, it's pretty miraculous.
This is insane. I don't even I got to get this up today. Like
I agree.
this
In
is
fact, this
big.
is what I wrote about in the book called Moving Beyond COVID-19 Lies. And I lay out from the beginning. It starts with what you started with in this interview. Okay. It starts
I
out
had no idea this is the direction the interview was going to go, by the way, at all. I thought we were going to talk about snake venom in the water, and then there's no real cure for it. You just have to deal with it. We just don't drink the water. This is huge to me, Doc.
I love it for you.
Huge,
And I love it for
especially to
your
me.
audiences. Yep. And I just want y'all to know, they want you to believe for the last 5 years that a bat coughed in China and made the whole world sick. And that's the name of my first chapter of my book. Let me get this straight. A bat coughed and made the whole world sick. I mean, you'd have to almost be an idiot to believe that. One bat coughed, and then they told you, oh, it came from the seafood market. Okay, listen, people. If there's dead seafood in a market, they're telling you this is a respiratory virus. And how did they tell you it spreads? You have to exhale droplets. Can I ask you a question? Does seafood in a seafood market cough and sneeze on the people shopping in the seafood market?
None of it makes sense.
Have you ever been coughed on by a pangolin or a bat? Have you ever been coughed on by a snake, CNN readers? Have you ever? Okay.
No,
Not that it doesn't happen. This is what they are having to convince you made the world sick and called it COVID. And then they introduced Operation Warp Speed and Operation Telecommunications. The 5G towers, by the way, to answer that real quick. The reason for the venoms is nanotechnology in our body, which is based on a certain metal called cadmium. Cadmium and snake venom have a positive charge that allows 5G radiation to impact your body easier. The venom opens your cells gates that allow the radiation from EMFs and 5G to get in your cells and damage your DNA. This is why they're using the venoms and why they had to introduce 5G towers for every 25-mile radius in America. They needed everybody to be a target.
And so let me get this. Also, I had friends that were funeral directors that tell me they were pulling calamari out of the veins. So somehow this is just my theory, and tell me if I'm close on this. I would imagine that the 5G mixed with the vaccine somehow created the artificial intelligence in the body to use the body's own proteins to create this calamari substance in the veins. That was my theory on it. I'm like, no, your body's creating this on its own through the 5G radiation, causing this artificial intelligence to grow this protein in the body using your own proteins. Am I kind of close?
That is actually a great summary of a way, an attempt to explain all this because we've never seen it before. So yes, we did not design this technology to create these massive rubbery clots. I actually have them in my bathroom downstairs from Richard Hirschman, the guy that kept pulling them out of bodies, the coroner. He brought them to me and I have them in my house still. And I can't wait to have these all tested by some labs that we're building right now to prove it all. But the number one thing that explains it, actually, I found that explains these rubbery blood clots isn't so much the 5G radiation, even though it helps speed up the process. The 5G radiation helps speed up the process of developing these clots. But not everybody developed the clots, and all of us have been exposed to 5G radiation. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is everybody who got the COVID-19 vaccines or got COVID and was sick It was published that of the 36 different animal venoms found in human beings, 2 of them, called E. Karen. I don't know what that is. Okay. E. Karen. Where was that? Okay. So E. Karen is from the saw-scaled viper snake. And E. Karen is this venom protein that makes the body's blood quickly coagulate or clot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is a second venom protein that was also found in every COVID patient with these blood clots, and it is called textillinin. A fancy scientific name is Kunitz type serine protease. Now, this stuff is a venom protein that prevents your body from dissolving the clots, and your body has something that protects you from developing stroke-causing clots. And that substance is called plasmin. Plasmin, Plasmin, is already in our body and breaks down blood clotting that's going on all the time. So these 2 snake venoms, when combined in the human body, don't allow plasmin to break down the blood clots, and it doesn't allow drugs, really powerful drugs that break down blood clots, from working. So it makes the blood clots resistant to heparin, warfarin, and coumadin. Well, if you want to know,
But it is a blood thinner.
Exactly right. So if you want to know what is creating the blood clots, it's these venom proteins that our Department of Defense owns the patents on. And I'm not joking. In fact, you can read about it in a Smithsonian article that they published right before the pandemic in 2017 about how they developed this combination of 2 snake venoms to create hydrogel blood clots that are thick and rubbery and resistant to drugs and your own blood clot chemical busting plasmin. So there's a great article online. If you want, you can pull it up, but it's from the Smithsonian. Anyway, the venoms were already found in the patient. I just want you to know
You want me to pull it up? You want me to pull it up?
If you want to, you can. Your audience it's just for relevance. Every time I say something, I like people seeing it, but they do not.
I mean,
I've already shown enough.
What do I put it in? What do I put in?
Yeah, put in Smithsonian article, or actually just put in Smithsonian snake venom hydrogels and open the article. Smithsonian snake venom hydrogels. Nothing explains these rubbery clots better than this article, which describes our Department of Defense technology they invented.
This one right here?
Very first one. So what they're promoting this is a military weapon to help us control bleeding of injuries of soldiers. They tell you they can stop bleeding of any kind from any injury with these 2 snake venoms proteins. And when you read their description, it is the rubbery blood clots. In fact, those same venoms they talk about in here, in this article, the 2 of them, was found in every COVID-19 patient who had blood clotting.
The venom.
It is venom. Yeah, you can keep going down. If you keep going down, you'll see they were investigating 2 different types of. I want to see this. Keep going down. I know this article pretty well. All right, stay there. Go up a little bit above that last ad, that last paragraph. Look at this. It reads, the new bioengineered gel speeds up this process with the help of the proteins E-carin, like I mentioned earlier, and textillinin. E-carin from the saw-scaled viper's venom promotes the rapid blood clotting called coagulation that initiates rapid blood clotting, while textillinin from the eastern brown snake prevents the breakdown of these blood clots, making them hardier and longer lasting, according to the study. Now, keep going down because people were asking, how come these COVID-19 vaccines have to be refrigerated? Do you remember this in the very beginning? Yep. There's never been these things. Okay, right here, stop. When people were wondering, why do the COVID-19 vaccines have to be refrigerated? No other vaccines on earth are. How come these have to be refrigerated? I learned why in this paragraph on the screen. Let's read the last sentence of the first paragraph. This gel, which is 2 different snake venoms, is also thermoresponsive. So it is liquid form when stored in a cool place, but will solidify at body temperature.
Wow.
So the moment
you
start
add the 5G with that.
You then introduce 5G, do some 5G burst on people, raise the gigahertz, and oh my God, you're going to have blood clotting and stroking galore all over
Holy
the place.
shit.
So just so you know, this is the only thing I've ever read and ever found that perfectly explains these big rubbery white clots and the fact that the vaccines had to be refrigerated, because in a cool environment, these venoms stay in liquid form, which a vaccine has to be. When you inject it into a warm body, it then solidifies.
So I was right.
And yep. And then you'll see,
My
let's read
theory.
the next sentence. Let's read the next paragraph. Researchers found that when testing this venom gel on mice, stable clots formed within 60 seconds, compared to the mouse's mammal body, which takes as much as 8 minutes to make a blood clot. It even controlled the bleeding in the presence of commonly used blood thinners, warfarin, reducing bleed volume to 48% to 12%, they said. So I just want y'all to know that when I tell you things, once you go open your eyes to the potential that they're using venom as a bioweapon, calling it COVID symptoms, it answers every single issue or mysterious complex things that people are reporting around the world, scientists, medical doctors, sufferers. 100% of them can be answered when you look at the venoms confirmed to be in COVID-19 patients' bodies. 100% of them.
Wow, man. This is
Now,
probably the most epic friggin' podcast I've ever done, dude.
Now, what's amazing, I really
You
hope
want me to go back to the article or
them.
no?
What's that?
You want me to go back to the article or no?
No, I just want to say this real quick.
Okay.
In the book I wrote, all the stuff you're learning right now is in chapter 14 of my book. I explain every symptom and disease people now have since 2020 that they never had before. And I show you the research proving it. That's chapter 14. Chapter 15 of my book, just so you know, anybody watching this is like, oh my God, I wonder if I have E-carrin or textillin in my body. Yes. If you do, and you're wondering if that's why you're now on Eliquis or Xarelto or some other drug for blood clots right now, yes, you need to go get specific medical tests run. And I list them all in chapter 15 of my book. Then I tell medical doctors when they come back positive, these are the drugs that are the solutions and the natural solutions and the doses. So for every scenario, whether you have a neurological problem, a mental health problem now since COVID came, if you're dealing with heart disease, cardiovascular issues, diabetes, it doesn't matter. Schizophrenia even. Do you know schizophrenia is exponentially growing right now?
Yeah. I have a friend that has it. I have two friends that have it.
It's because of the damn venom, and I prove it in chapter 14. So if you don't go look, you will never know. I actually show you 100% of every symptom related to COVID. After 2020, I can pinpoint which venom they used to do it and show you the
Holy
research
cow.
articles that proved it. 100%. And I'm not joking when I say this. If you have a symptom and you're like, yeah, but what about me? My doctors can't figure it out. No. It's because they haven't read this book and done the same research I've done. I already can show you and published what's causing your symptom. If you have schizophrenia you never had before, hallucinations, delusions, bipolarism right now, it's venom doing it. If you have a new glioblastoma tumor, it's venom that's doing it. If you have myocarditis, it's venom that's doing it. I can prove it to you. In fact, did you know the word myocarditis was invented in the 1880s to describe a side effect to anti-venom therapy after a snake bite?
Wow. Holy cow, man. But people right now can go out and get nicotine patches, and that should take care of a lot of this, correct?
Absolutely. Your number one resource should be nicotine. And if you don't see relief in the first 6 days, like these other long COVID patients, that's why chapter 14 and 15 were written. I just told you there's 36 different venoms. Most of them that for COVID attacked nicotine receptors to create all your COVID symptoms. But some people had these weird blood clotting problems. That's not nerve target venom. That is blood cell targeting venom. I just showed you two names of them.
Yes.
Well, nicotine doesn't prevent blood clotting. No, that's not what it does. No, but there are things that dissolve that blood clotting, and I'd like to tell you what two of them are.
Okay.
Did you know licorice root destroys E-carrin and textillin? And that scientists figured out that even if you make a blood clot with those venoms, licorice root destroys it?
Wow, licorice root. Okay.
Yeah. Did you know that cinnamon dissolves the blood clots by those two venoms? specifically the most popular cinnamon sold in grocery stores. It's called cinnamon cassia. That's been known for hundreds of years to be a cure for this venom. In
Cinnamon
fact,
cassia. Okay.
I'll tell you this. Did you know that cinnamon is being told to people with diabetes to use it to control blood sugar issues on
Yes,
top
I've
of
heard
their
that
insulin?
before. I've actually heard that. Yeah.
Do you know that cinnamon prevents venoms from damaging the pancreas to cause
Didn't know
diabetes?
that. I had no idea.
And
No.
you're learning now cinnamon's proven to dissolve blood clots caused by snake venom? It's pretty amazing. Inside cinnamon is something called coumadin that dissolves blood clots made
Which
by
is
snake.
what my dad's on.
And coumadin is what was made from cinnamon. I'm not joking. They found in cinnamon this blood clotting component called busting component called coumadin. And they called on scientists in France in the late 1800s. I'm not joking. When they figured out cinnamon did this, they said, chemist at Louis Pasteur's Institute in France, hey, we want you to isolate what is the substance in cinnamon that dissolves the blood clots formed by snake bites. The scientists figured out and called the chemical coumadin. And then the people in France went like this, hey, chemist, I want you to isolate that molecule and now make a whole bunch of it synthetically and put it in a tablet form. And we're going to name it coumadin. Sorry, the substance inside of cinnamon is called coumarin, and that they turned it into the drug called coumadin. So
I can't even. This
is
so evil.
It is so evil. In fact, there's more coumarin in another plant called the tonka bean. And they took the tonka bean, cinnamon, and they found that both of these had high levels of this product called coumarin. They converted it into a drug called coumadin. And then guess what the FDA did in America after releasing that drug as a prescription? What they did to tonka beans, the FDA, they made it illegal to eat tonka beans in America since 1953. You can't put tonka beans in any food item because if you get the coumarin, you won't need coumadin prescribed to you. So they've made it illegal. The whole thing's in my book. You can read all about it. It's pretty nefarious. They've been hiding this crap for you for years and years and years. There are solutions. There is hope. There is answers. Thank God for you and your audience.
Thank God for you coming on this program. And Waltz wants to tax the cigarette companies, correct? He's going to tax
us. No, he's going to tax us with a 98% tax. Yeah.
98% tax on cigarette products, on nicotine products. That's what they're going to do, folks, if they get in there. So that's just one more reason to not give them your vote. Dr. Artis, thank you so much for coming on. This was very eye-opening, jaw-dropping. I am very impressed with your work. And you're welcome anytime you're on. And folks, get the book, the Beyond the COVID-19 Lies. What is it?
Lies.
Say it again.
Moving Beyond COVID-19 Lies. You can find it at the Dr. Artis Show too.
And it's on Amazon.
Yep, and on Amazon.
How the hell are you still on Amazon?
Oh, you have to know this. The publisher I hired has worked with Amazon for years. When we submitted the book for product page approval and selling on Amazon, this is 2 weeks ago. They sent back, after Amazon worked on it, they sent it back and said, yes, we've approved your book. Here's the information about the product page. Look it over and approve it. My publisher looks at it and goes, hold up. She immediately calls Amazon and lets them know, we have a problem here. Why did you categorize this book of Dr. Artis's in the children's category for 6 to 11-year-olds only? That was their way of trying to bury it on Amazon so nobody found it. So Teresa, because she's worked with Amazon for a long time, was like, no, you have to fix that. And so anyway, they fixed it before they launched it. And in the last 2 weeks, it's only been up on Amazon 2 weeks. We're now #1 in the health category. Thank God. And they are all printing and shipping this week. Anyway, it's very, very exciting. This is what I'm telling everybody on earth. Has this information been valuable to you, you think, in your audiences? You keep acting like it is. All this information and more is in that book. I need you to know your audience didn't know all this information. I
didn't know any of this information. I had speculations and theories and shit, but you just put it all together for me.
Yeah. So this is what's important. What I'm asking everybody to do. I know it's one book. Buy the book and buy a second one, please, because I need you to give it to your favorite doctor. I don't care if it's an acupuncturist, chiropractor, MD. Please give it to them. They are not giving these MDs, these DOs, these chiropractors, acupuncturists, herbalists, homeopaths. They don't all have this information. And yet they are the ones in their work, in their clinics, perplexed about where to go next to try to help these people. So if they don't have the information, how are they going to help your communities or your family members you're referring there? Please give them a free copy of the book so you can help me help more people around the world make sense of the crap they're living in. You don't have to live with these symptoms. All the solutions are laid out in there. And if you don't know this, no one ever in history with getting a coronavirus called a common cold has ever had loss of taste and smell that persisted for years. All of these long symptoms are only published to be side effects of snake venom.
This is incredible.
And I show it in the book. In fact, if you don't read the book and you have symptoms right now since 2020, I can promise you one thing. You will have every symptom for an average 12.7 years. That is what is published about snake venom in the human body. It stays for 12 to 14 years on average. If you would like to reduce your suffering, go get the solutions. They're in the book. No one else is going to tell you. You better go get it unless you're on this podcast with us.
Doctor, thank you so much. Let me get this up today. I'm in a hurry to get this up. I'm going to go to Walgreens right now and get the nicotine patches.
God bless you all, and God bless your audiences. We love you. Thank you.
Got it.